Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dojo Talks. Today, we are joined by the ChessNerd to talk about the top 10 tournaments of all time. We brought in the ChessNerd because, as his name suggests, he is a chess aficionado that knows a lot of details, the kind of thing that an old guy like me just has learned at one point but has forgotten. So, we're going to do our typical Dojo snake, where we'll go from list the top 10 and then 9, 8, we'll snake it through. So I'll go first, David goes to Zach, and then we'll go back around like a snake. At the final of this, we'll then do a tally and average out what we think are the top tournaments.
Yeah, before
So,
we begin,
yeah.
can I just ask Zach, how does it feel to be on a Dojo Talks podcast to do a ranking?
Thank you guys so much for having me. I've watched many of these episodes, always wanting to be part of the show one day. And now that I'm here, it feels nothing but a delight. And
Yeah.
I'm super excited to present my list to you guys.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, as usual, we're gonna get it right. We we put a lot of thought into this because people look to us for these rankings now. It's become a thing. And so
Right.
I think especially I don't think anyone individually will get it right, but the average should
The average
prove
should get it right.
quite good, quite accurate.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Let's get into it.
Okay. So I guess I go first, and we do have the ability to do takebacks. So if somebody makes a convincing argument, I can move it around later. My first one, number 10, I don't think anyone's else gonna have it, but this is the Soviet Championship 1981. Arguably, I could put it higher. To me, the reason why this is such a significant tournament is it is the breakout event for Kasparov as the young Kasparov, and a lot of the games from Test of Time are featured in this tournament. Sakis, who then later comes to the GM house and trains me and David, also tied for first. So amazing player. And Sakis also tied for first in 1980 as well. So that's also an interesting feature of the tournament. But mostly for me, it's a star-studded event where we see what Kasparov is going to be in this tournament. And I think a lot of the tournaments that we're going to feature here are famous, at least partly because something amazing was written about them. And that's definitely like Test of Time. A lot of it is about this Soviet championship. So there it is. That's my number 10.
Okay, cool.
All right. Um, just for historical context, I'll mention that at that Soviet championships, Kasparov was already the top seed in that tournament. He
Right.
was ranked number 5 in the world at 2630, and the only other top 10 player there was Belyavsky, Alexander Belyavsky. About 10 or 15 points below him. Back then, FIDE ratings were averaged to the nearest 5 points.
Really?
Yeah, so I've seen him listed as 2620 in the cross table for that event, 10 points behind Gary. So to me, it's interesting already at 18. I mean, he was the top seed. I don't know. He'd already showed something by that point. Um, ugh, my number 10. Okay. Everybody here knows that I made a list of 11 by accident. Now I'm sitting here struggling because the one I'm most likely to get wrong is number 10 now. Um, oof. God. I feel really bad if I don't actually put in London 1851. Now, London 1851 is not my favorite tournament based on the players in it or the games played or anything like that, you know? But London 1851, Staunton had the idea to have a chess tournament. I mean, that was the first international chess tournament. So there's like a certain way in which everything else that we're going to talk about only exists thanks to London 1851. So even if I'm not going to give it my 10th spot, I feel like I have to at least mention it verbally. Like,
Honorable mention.
100%. Same for me. Honorable mention.
yeah, I mean, Staunton came up with the idea of organizing an international tournament and like inviting people and bringing them to London, and I've read some things, about Staunton that weren't always flattering, but like good on him for coming up with this thing. Um, so to me, that's kind of a big deal, and I usually like to remember, like, obviously in 1851 they're not going to play as good as in two or as well as in 2000. Obviously, right? We can't trash them for that. And I was reading up, and they don't have ratings, but they did manage to get maybe 5 or 6 of the top 10 players in the world into that tournament. They used knockout matches. It was kind of a cool format. Adolf Anderson won the finals, something like 4-2. I don't know. They were doing matches of like best of 6 or something like that, I think, but you had to win by more than 3. Um, and that's kind of like was where he got the status of best player in the world, so that when Morphy beat him, it was kind of considered as like Morphy was beating the best player in the world. So it's a very important event, but I struggle to get it into my top 10. So I think my list can definitely be accused of having era bias. Like I've got an era of chess that I like more, and then eras that like I know less about or I'm less into. So I'm gonna leave London out for now unless somebody convinces me to change, which please do. And I'm gonna put another old tournament, Hastings 1895, as number 10. Again, a tournament which maybe I'm being era biased against, and maybe it's worth way more than that, right? Because um, as Zach was telling me, I sort of vaguely thought this was true, but once the chess nerd says so, I will believe that it's true. That this is the longest running chess tournament of all time ever, right? And Zach confirms it's been going for over 100 years. It's still going. So Hastings 1895, just as London sort of said, like, hey, we could do international tournaments. This was like, hey, you could have basically a chess festival or tournament or event that just repeats forever, and you could carry on an incredible tradition. On top of that, this is the first tournament that features like really exciting chess to me.
Mhm.
It's got an exciting breakout for Pillsbury, who was basically almost unknown before this tournament. And the tournament has basically all the top 10 players in the world here. Like he wins this tournament ahead of Lasker, Chigorin, Steinitz, like everybody. Um, and cements his place as one of the top 2 players in the world, probably with that victory. So it's an exciting tournament. Great games. Pillsbury was playing great chess. His opponents were playing great chess. So I'm putting that at number 10. And honestly, I think maybe it's worth number 2 or 3, but that's where I'm putting it for now.
Okay, solid. I remember reading about Hastings for the research that, we had this London 1851 tournament, and then Hastings 1895 was like England trying to get chess back to England, like put England back on the map for chess.
Mm.
Just funny because for us it's like the same era, but for them it's like 40 years
Oh,
apart.
it's yes. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm next. Um, all right, my number 10 spot. So I'll give one honorable mention to London 1851 because it's like, yeah, the first international tournament, but for me it just wasn't strong enough. And I feel like Anderson dominated. And I looked at the field, and a lot of names for me were actually just completely unknown.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll give some of my criteria for my picks. Basically, for me, what makes a great chess tournament is the relative strength of the field, meaning having the top players in the world at the time that the tournament was played. Um, Secondly, I feel like the tournament should have some kind of historical significance. So that means it could be in the candidate cycle, a world championship tournament, or just some kind of like important tournament for chess history. And then the third criteria, which is going to fuel a lot of my bias, is just like whether I knew about the tournament before like doing research about the greatest tournaments of all time. Because my logic is, if it's truly one of the greatest tournaments of all time, then I would have at least heard something about it. And it would have been one of the first tournaments that came to mind when we, started talking about doing this show. So there are definitely a few tournaments that like I immediately thought of like has to be on the list. And so of course those drove a lot of my picks. Okay.
Yeah.
So my number 10 event, maybe controversial to put this one at 10. I'm not sure, but I'm going with The Hague, 1948. which was the World Championship tournament to decide Alekhine's successor. So on paper, actually, I feel like very interesting tournament. It was 5 players: Botvinnik, Smyslov, Reshevsky, Karas, and Oive. So 3 of those, would be world champions, and then you have Karas and Reshevsky, who are obviously incredible during their time. Ended up being won by Botvinnik, who that's how he got his world championship title. And it was this 5-player, I think, quadruple round robin. It was in the Netherlands and I think in Russia as well. And decided the world championship. So for me, it's like a very important tournament historically. I will admit that I originally thought this tournament was the Avro 1938 tournament. So I thought Avro 1938 was the one that decided like Botvinnik would be world champion. Like, no, it was actually this one. So that's my 10th pick.
Yeah. There's a weird thing in the format, Costa, that it was actually a quintuple round robin.
Quintuple.
Yeah.
I don't know if any other tournament was
Insane.
ever played with a quintuple because it's like an odd, like if you're going to have like a multiple round robin, normally it'd be like 2 or 4 or 6, like you'll have even whites and blacks against people. It's a quintuple round robin, 20 rounds. I don't know, it's weird, but cool.
Insane.
A bit of an odd one, but yeah. Okay, Zach,
Okay.
number 10.
So, yes, London 1851, honorable mention, first international tournament ever, but it was a knockout, and the weak competition, I agree, does not make my top 10 list, 100%. However, 20 years later, we have the emergence of this tournament, which, by the way, you guys, I think you guys don't have this on your lists. This is the Vienna 1873 tournament. And it's not that known for. So I have 3 criterion in which I used to make my top 10. So as you said, historical significance, 100% super important. The strength of the overall participation, and then the cultural importance of the event. And so this one is probably one of the most culturally important tournaments, I think, of all time, because it's the tournament in which Wilhelm Steinitz demonstrates the usefulness of positional chess. So he uses positional chess, so strategy, for the first time in chess history, and he demonstrates it against this very romantic era of chess players, just straight up attacking, no development, no castling, things like this. And Steinitz kind of breaks out with this positional chess in 1873 Vienna, and he wins this tournament convincingly by a full point. And yeah, to me, this is definitely in the top 10.
Okay, type that in for you. Nice.
Well, just to clarify though, 1873, it's Blackburn wins the tournament, right?
No, Steinitz won. He wins by 1 point margin.
Yeah.
1 point over Blackburn, who was
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. Because it's a weird format, Jesse. Steinitz scored the second most points, but he won the final match against Blackburn.
I see. Okay.
They played
Right,
different
it's such
number
a
of
weird
rounds
format.
sometimes.
27, 32
Oh, they
rounds.
played.
So
So
it's
there
by
was like
percentage, I guess.
Oh,
knockout.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Very weird. Yeah.
But yeah, Anderson, Rosenthal, Bird, Paulson. Yeah, it was pretty stacked.
There's a format that was used sometimes back then where they would have like a first half of the tournament and then a second half as well. So like we're used to like either a round robin or a knockout, but they would sometimes do a thing where they'd have like the first half of the tournament, then they'd drop out the bottom half of players, and then they'd play a second half with just the top half of the tournament bracket. I think it's possible that that was also used in St. Petersburg or something. I'm not sure. It was used at a few tournaments, so sometimes people have different numbers of games and
Wow. Very interesting. I didn't know that. Fantastic.
yeah.
Okay. All right, Zach. Since it's we do a snake draft, that means you get to go.
Oh,
You're number 9
okay.
as well.
So chummying up with David, I will have to bring in Hastings 1895
Oh wow.
as my 9th pick. It's a sensational tournament. You have 2 world champions that are that are currently in contention, past and present, of course. And in that tournament, you have the ink war at its most fiercest. So not hypermodern, positional chess versus romantic attacking chess at its fiercest. And again, the unlikely winner, Harry Nelson Pillsbury, just crushes this extremely stacked field and totally deserves 9 spot for me.
All right.
Nice.
Man, our first repeat already. I feel like that's a good sign. We've had some shows where we don't get a repeat until like pick 5 or 4. It's like
Yeah.
all over the place. Okay, for me, my number 9 is another World Championship tournament. 2005, San Luis, which was the event where Topalov started off not so good actually, and then ends up crushing the second half of the tournament and wins and becomes the quote-unquote FIDE world champion. There's a bunch of controversy after that. But I've always thought this was a great tournament, just due to like how Topalov won it exactly, just this like absolute like run through everyone. And of course it had like all the best players at the time, like Anand, Kramnik, Polgar, Morozevich, Leko, all these guys. Yeah, okay, we've argued about whether it's like a real world championship or not, but obviously, super event, and I feel like it'll definitely go down in history as being pretty important.
Can I just say Kramnik was not there? There was complicated, weird stuff around the attempts at reuniting cycles and who said they were or weren't world champion. So Kramnik didn't play. And then there's going to be a world championship 2 years later where Topalov won't play because there was a clause that either he or Kramnik would get to play in the Mexico tournament, but not both of them. So they get a bunch of players qualifying who are much lower than Topalov, but because he's lost the match with Kramnik, that was his route in, and the rules are kind of complicated. And here Kramnik sat out, and also Kasparov sat out. There was still some hope that Kasparov might show up. He'd only been retired for 1 year. And like he was given an offer to just come straight into the World Championship final here.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, didn't take it up. Or I don't know. It would have been cool for chess players if he did it.
Yeah. So there you have it. All right, David.
Oh, sorry. It's to me. Okay.
Yes.
So my number 9 is the Portorož. Oops, I'm typing the wrong place.
Interzonal.
All right, Portorož Interzonal. Maybe I'll put I don't know if the year's going to fit, but it's 58. Okay. So I think now we're going to get into my biggest bias, which, it is what it is, and I apologize if it's really wrong or anything like that. But this is like my favorite period of chess probably, and it was probably reflected in previous top lists of like, best games and best players and best world championships matches and so forth. So not only did I rank some of these world championship matches very highly, but I rank the cycles pretty highly. I just really like a few things. I mean, you guys had great criteria for how you're picking the events. I have one criteria that's maybe different than yours, which is I like for the events to be really long.
Fair.
That's a fantastic one.
Yeah, I'm down with everything you said about historical significance and top players should be there, and do we know about it? And does it have like some special factor on your heart, like Kostya says, which I don't think is fully arbitrary because it probably represents a bunch of real things, that are getting at you. But I've got one other criteria very important to me is just how long it is. It just makes it feel really epic. I like the idea that some of these tournaments lasted 2 months, that they were in some frozen, godforsaken spot in the tundra for 2 months, just fighting between life and death. And so these world championship matches were longer than world championship matches now, which is part of why I ranked the world championship matches then higher than now. And it's also why I'm going to rank their World Championship cycle higher than now. So you'll see several of these tournaments. Portorož Interzonal 1958 is probably a 20-round tournament. Yep. What's special here about this particular tournament, I would say, is like the story of Bobby Fischer. And I hesitated a little. I wanted to like have one of these two young tournaments of his, either when he wins the US Championship in 1957 as a 14-year-old, and you play through the games and you're like, whoa, like he's definitely a GM. Like technically he gets the GM title after this in 1958. He gets the GM title once he proves that he's a top 10 player, basically. Which is not what anyone else has had to do to get the GM title, right? Like there's no comparison him versus like prodigies like Gukesh, Mishra, etc. when they made GM. Like obviously they're great. You guys know my love for Gukesh. But like Gukesh at 12 was not on the level of Fischer at 14. When, or 15 when Fischer gets the GM title. Like Fischer's a candidate at 1958, right? Like he's top 10. He's like Gukesh at 15 or 16.
Yeah.
He's incredible, maybe even 17. He's so good. And when you look at the US Championship, it's like he's like a class above the top players in the US at 14. So he's like, a super GM. And here in 1958, so I had to pick between the two. I picked 1958 over 1957 because the US Championships, they're only like 11 to 13 rounds long, and the competition is much weaker. And some of the games, like he's just crushing. And even his first US Championship, he literally draws out the last two games because he's already +8 equal 2 and has just run away with the tournament. And it's like it's already almost not a competition for him. But the Portorož Interzonal, there's good competition. He finishes like I think 5th place in the Interzonal, and he's not yet good enough to win the candidates tournament that year, obviously. But that's the special story that pushes this tournament above other Interzonals for me. I love all the Interzonals. I love how you've got all these
Who did
players
win
who've
that
like
one?
done well in different zones to get there. You want to know who's going to win?
Who did win that one?
Probably Tall. I mean, Tall definitely wins the candidates tournament a year later. Um, I'm not sure if he I'm not sure if he won the Interzonal. ChessNerd, do you have that?
I don't remember actually.
No.
Wait, let me
I mean,
I gotta know.
the competition was like, Smyslov, Tall, um, that was kind of like Kariz. Those were the players who were like
Oh,
still like a step above Fischer at that time.
Yeah, Tall won, Gligrich second, got Petrosian, Benko, Fridrik Olofsson, Fischer, Bronstein, Auerbach,
wow.
Bent
Really
Larson's there,
stacked. Wow.
Bachmann, yeah, Matinovich. Very stacked event.
One of Costa's favorites, Matinovich, sneaking in there. Yeah. So that's my number 9. A little bit of Fischer bias plus like an era I love.
Oh yeah.
My number 9, I might end up moving higher later, but I have Hastings 1895. And the reasons that I think this tournament, I probably will end up moving it higher. So this is the way I see it. At Steinitz loses the title in 1894 to Lasker. Okay. Little bit of a surprise. He defended it since 1884. And there's a whole question going on about, well, what is this world championship thing? Now we take it for granted that there is a world champion. Then it was a totally different animal, really. And at that time, whoever held the title had a lot of control over how a match was then played. You had to have money to challenge the challenger. But Hastings 1895 comes right after he's lost the title. And I think for the public then, there's a little bit of a question, which is continues today, which is, wait, maybe we should just have some tournament to decide who is the world champion. Now, in my own chess understanding, I really like the world championship, and I really don't like tournaments for the world championship. But in terms of historical significance, this is the one because this is stepping in and saying, hello, this is how we should decide it. It's a huge event. with 22 rounds. So, when you get 22 rounds, you got endurance, and then it's kind of hard if you don't win it. It's kind of like, well, you had your chance, buddy, right? You have all of these top players, even the players who finish toward the bottom are all names that like Adolf Albin. That guy's kind of cool. That guy plays some aggressive, interesting chess. He finishes number 17, right?
Yeah.
Um, and of course, the story here is then Pillsbury, who then later dies very quickly, wins this event. So it's like upsetting the whole order of things, where Lasker's finishing third, Tarash fourth. Tarash, maybe he should have been world champion at some point. Steinitz fifth. So
According to
beautiful
him.
super tournament, which you could argue has this significance of saying, well, maybe this is the world championship. Okay, let me go on to number 9. I might move these around, or excuse me, number 8. And this is a little bit of an echo of what David said, but I like the candidates tournament 1959. So this is what Tall wins. And it's a massive tournament. Bobby finishes 6th at 12 points. Tall has 13 and a half. It's got all the top players, of course. And like David is saying about these candidates, it was a really cool thing. Like you had to battle, first of all, to get into that candidates tournament. There was like quarter finals and all kinds of cool stuff going on. And then after you won it, then you had to play the matches, right? And I still think that's the best way for chess to be held. Um, and also very significant, not just the grueling nature of this bad boy, but also like if you think about it, this was Tall's breakout event. And then he gets to play for the title that I think he was definitely the underdog for. And at that time, he was by far the youngest world champion. So now we see kids who are, Faustino Oro. We're like, oh, they're really young. Back then, nobody was that young. Nobody was that young. So it was a really interesting breakout for the youth that
Yeah.
not really repeated, until much later.
Yeah. I guess he'd warned them at Portorož, right? I mean, he won the Interzonal, then he won the candidates,
Yeah.
and he won the world championship. I mean, he won everything that year.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was his run.
That's it. Okay. My number 8 is also a candidates tournament. Whoops. Um, how much can I fit in here? Will that work? Candidates Curacao or Curacao 62?
Curacao, 1962.
Curacao 1962.
Spicy.
Yeah. So this is a tournament which has one of the first big cheating accusations in chess history. Perhaps the first. I don't know. So that's historically significant, but I've actually downgraded it for that instead of upvoted it for it. I think this tournament would rank higher if it weren't marred by the fact that the Soviets were actually conspiring against the non-Soviets at this tournament. So Fischer's accusation was that they gave each other quick draws without so much effort, so that the tournament would be less grueling. And so my little comment on this was another grueling candidates tournament, more grueling for some than for others, right? So I love the fact that in theory, this is a brutal 28 round, 2 month long extravaganza. That's what I'm there for. A tournament that just lasts and lasts, and it's competitive and the people are good. Um, I love it. But the fact that for some of the people it wasn't really a 28 round tournament, that like drops it, 4 or 5 spots for me with my current way of ranking it. So yeah, great tournament in theory, but for me the asterisk on it is actually a mark against it, even if it does increase its historical significance, maybe.
Yeah, totally fair. Okay, I just want. Oh yeah, Petrosian won that one. You had Geller, Karras, Korchnoi, Tal, Fischer, Benko.
Great lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, my number 8 pick. So I guess I should mention a couple of my honorable mentions. One was London 1851. Another one for me was the Mexico City World Championship 2007 that Anand wins. And I don't know, I just didn't have a great vibe with this event. I feel like it's just supposed to be like the unification tournament, and I, I was very close to ranking it, but it just didn't make my list for me. Um, two more events that didn't make it for me, but were very close were Linares 1994 and Sinkfield Cup 2014. Mainly because I feel like these tournaments are memorable because they have two of the greatest tournament performances of all time. Like you have Fabi going 7 out of 7 in Sinkfield Cup, and then Karpov dominating the Linares event. But I feel like these are just some of the greatest performances of all time. Doesn't necessarily make them the greatest tournaments of all time. But yeah, for me, they were very close. Dishonorable mention for Curacao 1962. I feel like that whole cheating scale, for me, it just like disqualifies the event.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I feel like a good tournament is one without collusion, without cheating.
Wow.
Definitely legendary event,
Fair.
legendary. But I feel like for me, it takes it off the list.
Wait, so Costa, may I?
Yeah.
So you're disqualifying Zurich 1953 then?
No,
Oh,
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay, okay. Just
any
making sure.
tournament that any Soviet ever played in is disqualified by coach.
But yeah, the Curacao had a lot of quick draws, and Zurich, I feel like, had more chess content overall.
Okay.
So
Kostya, I have an
Zurich's on there.
interesting thought on one of your tournaments. So you picked San Luis and honorable mentioned Mexico. And I think I have a feeling why you did that. Because
Yes.
Mexico feels like a normal tournament that happened to give on the world championship. Like he scored +3, I think, or something like that. Something like 8 to 8.5 out of maybe something like 8 and 6 in a 14-round tournament. Like nothing dramatic. You're like, yeah, he's one of the top players. And then he plays the tournament. You're like, yeah, he's one of the top players. But in San Luis, when Topalov scored 6.5 out of 7 in one go through of the 7 other people, it was like, oh, this guy's world champion. Like he just I think that is what made the difference in the feeling of those tournaments for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's like a very clear victory for Topalov, and he was number one in the world for like at some point, right, in that era. So yeah, it definitely felt like more of a like a validating finish. Absolutely. Okay, my number 8 pick is a classic. I think you guys will have this one. It's St. Petersburg, 1914. Mainly for the field, because it has let me pull this up here. Lasker, Capablanca, Alekhine. So 3 world champions. Then it also has Tarash, Marshall, Rubinstein, Nimzovich. So obviously like insane players. And then a couple of guys that were, I think, a bit older, Blackburn, Janowski, Gunsberg, and Bernstein is there as well. So just like very, very strong tournament. 3 world champions, I feel like is crazy. And yeah, so just huge event for me. Lasker ends up winning, and yeah, I just like that all the top players of that era managed to play in one tournament together.
Beautiful.
So, okay. Zach.
Nice picks, you guys. Really, really nice. Okay, I'm gonna go modern on my next one. So my first two were very olden, 19th century, and now we're going 21st century with my next one here. 2 world champions. Strength-wise, it was a category 21. So average rating is like 27, between 27.25 and 27.50. And historical significance, Carlsen goes on to become world champion. So candidates 2013
Dang.
is my number 8 spot.
Huge.
Yeah.
Insane tournament. Magnus proves that he's the established number 1, not only by ratings, but also by proven tournament strength in this tournament. And then he goes on to become world champion. I believe in 50 years, this tournament is going to be absolutely insane from a historical point of view. But even in the recency bias, like I'm in awe.
Is there a good book about this tournament?
No, not yet.
Okay,
How?
interesting.
But a lot of modern tournaments don't have the books about themselves
Yeah.
that we have about Hastings 1895, London 1883, etc. Curacao 1962, the Yantiman book. So yeah, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Okay. At number 7, I have another, to me, modern tournament. Is a 20th century tournament, category 22. So it's like 1750 to 1800 in terms of rating adjusted for inflation.
Or 2750, yeah? Or
Yes, 2750. What did I
okay,
say?
is it 17?
Uh, and it has an absolutely stacked field, probably one of the greatest performances of all time, alongside Bobby Fischer in what was it, Las Palmas de Mallorca, 1970, and of course Fabi in Sinkfield 2014. So I have Linares 1994, Anatoly Karpov taking that one, and just an absolutely insanely stacked and legendary tournament. Goes into my slot number 7.
Yeah, he must have scored something like 11 out of 13 or something.
Yeah, I have it here.
Yeah, 11 out of 13.
11 out of 13. I think it has like the top 8 players at the time in the tournament, like number 1 through 8, and then some in the top 20. It's like insane.
Yeah, it's a pretty sick tournament. Now I'm doubting, rethinking. Not having,
It's just an insane tournament.
oh man.
Yeah.
Damn.
And culturally, it has its value too. But anyways, on to you, Kostya. What do you have for us?
Okay, I'm gonna think about whether I can
Squeeze it in.
squeeze Linares in. But for now, I'll go with my number 7 pick. Another classic, New York 1924. This tournament, I think historically, it's very significant because this is when Capablanca has the title, but Lasker ends up winning this tournament. Which, by the way, ChatGPT had to like triple check. It kept telling me Capablanca won this tournament. He didn't. It was Lasker. Lasker won the event. So I'm sure some of us did some AI research and you really got to check, got to make sure that it's double checking who's winning the event. But New York, very stacked as well. It has the 3 world champions again: Lasker, Kappa, Alekhine, Marshall. Then it has Reddy, Marazzi, Bogolyubov, Tartakower. So these are some of the relatively younger guys in that era. Yates also, Edward Lasker, and then Janowski too. Rounds out the field. So yeah, huge event again, one of these like long tournaments where you have like most of the best players of the time. And I feel like a lot of famous games have come from New York 1924, St. Petersburg as well. That was also some of my criteria thinking about these is just like, could I immediately think of games that came from these tournaments? And yeah, I feel like just super important for chess history.
Yeah. Alekhine played rookie 3 there.
Oh, it's Reddy Alekhine. Oh my God, Reddy Alekhine. Yeah, of course, the book by Alekhine is very, very famous book.
Yeah.
One of the best tournament books of all time.
I've been struggling with my list and rejiggering things while also trying to pay very close attention to all your suggestions. Zach really touched me with how strong Linares was. I had put it as an honorable mention. I don't know. What I was going to put was this one here. Well, actually, I already moved things, but Palma de Mallorca 1970. That is an interzonal, a 20 rounder, which is, you know, a good amount, 23 in fact, so one of the longer tournaments. And this, of course, Bobby Fischer wins the last 7 rounds, starts the best streak in top level chess of all time, I think, 20 game winning streak. Let me know if I'm wrong about that, but if you know of a better one. But he wins 7 games here, then he goes on to win 2 candidates matches, 6-0, 6-0, and then one more game against Petrosian for 20 games in a row. He only plays in this tournament because Benko gives him his spot. Again, you have to play in the zonal to get into the interzonal. You have to perform at the zonal level, which is part of what I like about the interzonal is the whole like, you play your local championship, you play like a zonal event, I love the whole funnel. Um, and yeah, it's a legendary performance, and there's going to be extremely strong opposition at these interzonals. For anyone wondering, most of these interzonals have basically all the players who then play in the candidates. It's just missing like a defending world champion, basically. There'll be like one candidate spot missing, sometimes two. But the interzonals are usually going to qualify six or seven of the eight candidates. So you're going to then reface in the matches people you've played at the interzonal. So the level's really high. Like Fischer lost one game in Palma de Mallorca early on. It was to Bent Larson, who he eventually had to play a candidates match against. But yeah, so he had a good level of opposition at this tournament. He like the 7-0 streak might make it seem like it's not a top level event. When you hear those kind of streaks, you think, oh, maybe it was like a soft field, but this is not like the US Championship of 1964. This is like a tournament that normally would be close.
Yeah.
I think he may have finished 3.5 points ahead of second place. I think he had 18 and a half, and like second through fourth might have been 15.
Yeah, very solid event. If I understood correctly, this is also the last candidates tournament of its kind for some time. After that, they switched to the match system
Mm-hmm.
for the candidates.
Yeah, they had interzonals in like 1992, like Groningen or something, but yeah, they didn't do it for a while.
Right.
Okay. So for me, number seven and number six are going to be my Bobby Fischer tribute. And so we're going with the US Championship, and this is technically, I think it's 63 and slash 64. Bobby wins 11-0. And I think David has consistently said it's just a bunch of chumps. I disagree. I disagree. I'm looking at this list of players, and we got Evans, Benko, Reshevsky, Byrne. That Weinstein guy was great. Bizgeier was there. My teacher, Mednis, was there. Donald Byrne was there. These were not chump players. And so it's an announcement to the world that Bobby's here. Now, it's important to say for Bobby that 63, 64, he's not at the level yet of where he gets to in 1970. So he's still on an arc, and he's got like some psychological stuff, some big psychological stuff. He's going to drop out of the world for a little bit and resurface later for the world championship. But still, this is like, oh, here we go. Then number six, I have the same thing, David, with Palma de Mallorca. And let's just mention here that Bobby body slams this event. He wins it by 3.5 points. Massive crushing event. Bent is there with 15, and then you've got all these people. It's a super strong event. I mean, there's no chumps really in that lineup. So beautiful event. And really, both those kind of announcing Fischer as the dominant force in chess history there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
And we'll send it back to you, David.
Fair.
All right. Now we're at number 6. Wow. Okay. I don't quite understand why I did 6 and 5 in the order I did. Like maybe I got it wrong. I put The Hague 1948 here, and when I get to my number 5, you guys can advise me if I should flip them. But The Hague 1948 is a tournament for the World Championships. It's like the big post World War II event, right? Because international chess more or less doesn't exist from 1939, 1940 until 1946, 47. So it's like the world is like in a sense taking stock again after a period where things like chess didn't matter the most for a little bit. And they're like, oh, like, Capablanca and Alekhine are dead. Who's the best? We don't even have like tournament records to look at. And so they organized this match tournament of The Hague 1948. They basically get the top 5 players in the world to play against each other here. Um, if you're going to disqualify any tournament with any funny business, then you have to make an assessment on whether or not you think Kariz was pressured in his games against Botvinnik. I did a little research on this yesterday, and I didn't find anything totally conclusive, so I can't tell you what you should believe or not. But Kariz does lose his first 4 games in a row to Botvinnik, out of 5. And then once Botvinnik has won the tournament, Kariz beats him in the last game. Um, I think like to borrow some of like Jesse's lens on the world, this is a tournament where something's at stake, right? Something really matters. Like they're playing for the world championship, super important. And I think there's like an intensity and an excitement, and the tournament goes 20 rounds, and the contestants are very strong. So I think it's a great tournament. Um, and I feel like I downgraded it slightly compared to number 5 because it had 5 players instead of like 6 or 8 or 10. Like somehow like I wanted maybe even like a little more flavor, like a couple more names in the mix, which might be stupid, but yeah, I don't know. That's where I put it.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. No, I mean, I'm thinking about this tournament because like 5 players is a weird number.
Mhm.
At the same time, if you're gonna do like a world championship tournament, you kind of do want a lesser number of players just playing against each other a bunch of games versus seeing who can beat up against the outsiders the best
Right. Yeah,
in a
my
way.
ideal format for the World Championship is actually for the last stage to be 4 players. It's kind of like a mix between a match and a tournament. Like which is it really, right? Because if each of those 4 players plays each of the other 3 8 times, times 3, 24 rounds, like World Championship matches used to be, right? Is that a tournament or a match? It's like very close. It's in between. So I don't know why I
So actually, Ruben Fine was supposed to participate and make it 6, but he declined. So it was 5. So I don't know how that changes it in your minds.
yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Number 6 for me. Actually, David, you've convinced me. I'm gonna downgrade The Hague to 11. And I'm gonna replace it with Linares 1994.
Wow.
You guys
Holy
changed my
schmoly.
mind.
Yeah.
Insane.
Because it sounds like this Hague tournament was like a haphazard kind of thing. And then there's this controversy with Karras and Botvinnik I forgot about. And yeah. Uh it brings up some questions. I don't know. Yeah, the vibes are off with that event.
Wow.
Linares 1994, though, I forgot is like top 8 players in the world, and you have like multiple generations represented, right? With like Kasparov and like Anand and like Ivanchuk and Topalov and then
Mhm.
all these other guys. So to me, it's like incredible tournament. Also, I do want to like kind of honor some of these events in the sense that like Linares was a super tournament for many years. St. Petersburg had multiple events. Another one I'll mention is also kind of like a legacy tournament. In fact, that's my number 6 pick, which is Waikanze 1999.
Hmm.
And so Waikanze is obviously another like legacy super tournament, much like Linares. It had many good additions. This is the one I believe where Kasparov has his uber famous win over Topalov.
Yeah.
That many consider to be one of the greatest games of all time. Also has just a legendary lineup where you have like Kasparov, I think Kramnik, Anand, Topalov, all the top Dutch players, Jerome Piquet, Loke van Wely. And yeah, I think Waikanze is easily one of the greatest tournaments of all time. I think this is perhaps one of the best editions of it. I believe Kasparov dominates, so he kind of shows like his power. Um, and yeah, I definitely felt like it had to be on the list.
Yeah, I wonder how Jesse feels about this question, but for me in the 90s, Wake on Zay and Linares, it felt like those tournaments did matter. Even though they weren't part of the World Championship cycle, it felt like they were like the French Open or Wimbledon. Like they felt like
Yeah.
grand slams of chess. To me, they felt meaningful somehow in a way that the Sinkfield Cup never really resonated for me in the same way, 10, 20 years later.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. Okay, on to Zach.
Oh, it's me already.
Number
Wow.
6.
Okay.
Time flies.
So I'm so happy that I'm the end, so I can get two in a row because I'm going on theme once again. So I had two 19th century, and then I had two like
Modern.
relatively modern ones. And now I can polish with two early 20th century ones. So at sixth spot, I have an absolutely legendary tournament stacked to the bone. I mean, not one participant in this tournament I would take out because for the time and what they ended up becoming or what they were already, just such a strong tournament. And the winner, of course, equally as strong. So I would go St. Petersburg 1914.
Oh,
Jose Raul Capablanca takes this one. And the field, as priorly mentioned, Capablanca, Lasker, Tarrasch, Alekhine, Marshall, Bernstein, Rubinstein, Nimzovich, Blackburn, Janowski, Gunsberg. It's just so stacked. So that's my pick. And
Could I
yes.
politely say that I think Lasker won the tournament?
Oh,
Is there
that's not what
any
I have
polite
written.
way for me
Okay.
to say
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Because someone in chat's going to say it more rudely than I do if I don't say anything.
yes.
Okay, let me just slide down here. Oh, Lasker won.
Well, I think you're looking at like a preliminaries thing. So it's one of these like maybe two-prong tournaments.
So I have different results for each.
Yeah, I think this is like the preliminaries here. And then the
Right.
final is like a
Mhm.
double round robin tournament with the
Ah,
top players.
there you go.
So
My
Kappa
fault.
wins the preliminaries and then Lasker ends up winning in the finals.
So it was one of those tournaments I mentioned where they have like a first half and then like they break and do like a second half with the top. That's
Yeah.
cool. Weird format, but cool.
Yes. Some of these ancient formats are interesting. Okay, so and then at five, so breaking into our top fives of everyone, I'm gonna go and shout out the New York 1924. So firstly mentioned by Kosia, insane tournament. The lineup, the strength, all the whole top 10 of the time makes the tournament is present at the tournament. And then cultural importance, this whole Savielli Tartakover with the orangutan opening, it happens at 1924 New York, in which he's advised by this orangutan when the tournament goes out to a zoo in the Bronx on the off day. And this orangutan named Susie recommends to Tartakover, as the story goes, to try the orangutan. So one before the Sokolsky opening the next day, and Tartakova does. So it's just like just like a crazy tournament. So that one has a ton of value, not only like historically, of course, Alekhine's book, insane, but also culturally insane, and then strength, insane. So like top five sold me directly.
Wow. Yeah. Um, totally fair. Okay, my number 5 pick. It's one we've mentioned already. It's gonna be the candidates of 1959 in Yugoslavia. Which this is the one where Tal ascends to the world championship and dominates this field. For me, it's just like, yeah, great candidates event. I love the story of like Tal ascending as such a young guy. It's also like one of Fischer's first candidates. And it has all these other like world champions in there, like Petrosian, Smyslov, I think, and so on. So yeah, I number 5 is where it landed for me.
Sounds good. All right, so here's my number five. It's AVRO. And so this and The Hague, they're
Yeah,
like the
bro.
brackets around the wars, right? Like AVRO is not a world championship tournament because Alyechin is world champion at the time. The idea was maybe that the winner of AVRO would play a match against Alyechin. So for the people playing in it, there wasn't an established FIDE candidate cycle, but it was kind of like a candidates tournament for them. Because kind of like if you win, then then maybe you need to come to terms with Alekhine, but basically you're saying you're the right challenger for him. The weird thing for me is AVRO has only 14 rounds, whereas The Hague has 20 and is officially for the World Championship. So I can't quite understand why I put it like this. It might all come down to Botvinnik Capablanca or something. But okay, this tournament has one of the more legendary games in chess history, the Botvinnik versus Capablanca game, where he breaks the Nimzo Indian of Kappa. And he does it with a kind of like mix of like strategy and aggression that's almost like, Zach mentioned correctly a few times where there's kind of like a change in eras or where something's really significant to how chess is understood. Like he's got the tournament where Steinitz says, this is strategic chess, unveils it, right? Or this is hypermodern chess, with Tartakower and Reddy. But there's something about like the logic, like, Russian chess is like both positional but also dynamic. It's like it really recognizes the initiative. It's like specific opportunities and like pressing. And that game is just a game that really, really marks me and it's amazing. And then the other thing that AVRO has for me, and this is maybe not the fault of The Hague, but like AVRO, you've got these sort of legendary figures who've established themselves, right? Like who Capablanca is, who Alekhine is, who Kariz and Fien are. They're like the young generation challenging them because there's been chess for the previous 10 years. And so you've got an idea like the pecking order. So having Alekhine and Capablanca there is legendary, right? And then seeing Botvinnik and the younger guys challenge them is like this incredible thing. Whereas then when you get to the tournament in 1948, The Hague, you don't have any defending world champions because you've missed 10 years. And like, I don't know, somehow it's not as clear who is who and what's the pecking order. And that makes the stories for 1938 really cool. I like the fact that Ruben Fine might have been the best player in the world then. And like many chess players don't even know his name. And it's kind of cool to recognize that he might have been the best player in the world. And depending on his interest in psychology or the World War, he may have been a world champion and might have been one of the top players. So anyway, that's where I have it right now, and you guys can always help me figure out where it should
It
go.
was Fine and Karras that actually
Fine
won
and
the
Karras
tournament.
tied for first. Yeah.
Right. And that Botvinnik Capablanca game, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the only game they've played against each other? Or this was like the only tournament that they played against each other?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, they should have played each other twice at this tournament, but yeah, it might be the only time that those world champions crossed.
Yeah. So, yeah, super
Yeah.
important. Actually, it's kind of cool to have the sitting world champion involved in the candidates tournament as a guy who can like, test the participants in a
Yeah.
way. Like, can you win with the world champion in the mix as well?
Yeah, because Alekhine was in there, but it was also kind of to figure out who should challenge him.
Yeah.
Real cool.
Okay.
Okay, let me just respond a little bit. And as a fan, the cheating bothers me. And let's just talk about the cheating for a second. So, Curacao 1962 is most known just because Fischer bitches and moans about it. Okay, so you have somebody on the other side of the Iron Curtain who's going to say something. But before, I think, and at 62, they're just drawing with each other. Now, I know David is a great opponent of drawing, but when you just look at it from a tournament perspective, drawing in a way hurts you just as much as it helps you. So you could draw for energy purposes, but throwing games, oh, bro, that's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother level when it comes to throwing games. So the way I've been influenced with this is, so somebody's going to have Zurich up there. That used to be a favorite book of mine. There's two good books on Zurich, honestly. But Zurich, I mean, I love Smyslov, one of my favorite players of all time, but they're cheating for him, dude. They're cheating for him at Zurich, and it bothers me. And then The Hague, although we don't have witnesses in the same way. So with Zurich, we have Bronstein later after the curtain falls. He talks about it, and there's a lot of corroborating evidence. 1948, we don't really have witnesses, but when you just step back at it for a second and you're like, right, Keres is from Estonia. Estonia was allied with Germany during the war. Rightly so, because they were terrified of getting taken over. To this day, they want a strategic partnership with Germany so they don't get taken over. So he was labeled as a Nazi. And when you think about it, it's Nazi schmatzi because when you're Estonia, you're just looking at Russia and you're like, please, boss, don't hurt me, you know. Um, Finland as well. So, anyways, Karras is, in this situation with Avro 1938. He's really there, the person who should be there, and it just looks so wrong. It looks so wrong that I can't do it. I
You
can't do it.
can't believe the 4 losses to Botvinnik.
Yeah, and it also upsets me the 48 tournament because it's not it's a tournament that's not a match that doesn't turn into a match, for the world championship. But okay, there's my little spiel. There's my little spiel with the cheating.
Yeah.
Okay, for
Now,
me,
somebody told me,
yeah.
Jesse, that well, sorry, I saw different things about this,
Hmm.
about the Koreas in 1948, saying that like the darling of the Soviet establishment would have been Smyslov more than Botvinnik because Botvinnik was Jewish
Mm.
and there was a pretty significant anti-Semitism at the time, and that Smyslov was kind of like a darling of the Soviet
Hmm.
uh, leaders at the time. So if Kariz had been told to throw, it would have been to Smyslov, not Botvinnik. So does this really make sense? Um,
It really
Kariz
sets
claimed
it
that
up
he
for it
didn't,
being
but
Smyslov's turn in 53, doesn't it?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know if you feel like it's really like clear or just suspicious.
So can we clarify 1953? What was the accusation made by Bronstein that people were throwing games to Smyslov?
So I think
Yes.
there was two.
Hmm.
So number one, the Soviets colluded against Samuel Reshevsky, who was winning the tournament quite clearly in the first half. So the Soviets would, I think, yeah, the favorite, they wanted Smyslov to win. So they would like mutually draw each other and to that extent play against like Reshevsky really hard to try to offset him because he was like clear first after the first half, the first 15 rounds. And number two is I think David mentioned this that Bronstein, you know, was told later on in his told like spoke out later on in his career that he could not play for a win against Smyslov in the later rounds, in the crucial later rounds, where it was actually between him and Smyslov to win it all. And so that's a secondary part of the Soviet collusion. Um, so yeah.
Well, and we'll add to that when you look at Zurich 1953, written by Bronstein, he
Mhm.
barely covers much of Smyslov's games because he's like, especially the games he's winning. And those games, they look a
Really?
little too easy, buddy. You know? And also, there's this book Sazonko writes called Smyslov on the Couch. And there's just these Soviet handlers that are there. And it's a rough situation, dude. Someone comes to your room and being like, how's your family doing, bud? How's your
Well,
family doing? It's like weird oblique references. And it's like, oh shit, I know exactly what this person is saying, you know. So, anyways, that's my thing. Do I know the truth? I don't think anyone knows the exact truth. I'm just saying, as a fan, that's why it hurts me, both of those events, and I have trouble putting them on my list. Okay, so my number five is also a little weird and controversial, but I'm putting it mostly for historical purposes. So this is Mexico 2007, which Anand
mm,
wins. So let me just do a little history. Um, Kasparov gets a chance to mess everything up when Short beats Karpov in the Canada in the matches for the World Championship, right? And he starts his own thing. And really, we don't come around to a united world championship until Mexico 2007. Um, and it's just been a pure mess. And then even though I really dislike, same thing with The Hague 1948, I really dislike a world championship being decided by a tournament. This one at least like clarified it and it like set us on a path now which I think I'm just, in hindsight, I'm very thankful for, because the World Championship now is such a cool and dynamic event. It has so many people watching. Even these events that we were just recently covering, that what might qualify you to get to the candidates, it's such a big event. Beautiful for the chess world. So I'm putting Mexico there. And then number 4, I have New York 1924. And this one I feel is cool for a number of reasons. It's definitely, I think it's become my favorite tournament book. We will probably do a podcast at some point about our favorite
Wow.
tournament books. I feel the Soviet Championship 1981 is a little bit about test of time. New York 1924, written by Alekhine. What's really nice about the book, I'll say, is that it lets you see inside of Alekhine's mind. So a lot of times you'll be reading people and it'll feel kind of like objective analysis. And what Alekhine gives is constantly, like, even in positions that are dry, he's going for it with the analysis of mad variations. And it just shows how he's thinking. And similarly, in that event, Marshall's playing, and Marshall has a similar style. So they got this similar thing going on. It's great to see those two. But of course, the big story is, right? We've talked about on the show many times about how Lasker was, it seems like he's dodging a challenger forever, and especially through the First World War. He's dodging Capablanca. He's dodging this person, dodging that person. And maybe that's true. But New York 1924, the old man shows up and beats everybody down, dude. So it's kind of like this epic, you
Yeah.
know, statement at the end of his career of being like, I've been the world champion forever and I'm still here. I'm still here. What is it? 1894. You could say 1894 to 1924.
Yeah.
So there it is. Anyways, that's my spiel.
Yeah. Yeah. Lasker. Amazing. One of the most interesting characters in the history of chess, and one of the hardest to understand, both as a person and a chess player, right? Like, people look over his games and they don't get what he was doing. You can look at like how he lived his career and also not understand the off the board moves, right? Like some mix of like when he finally agreed, like he dodges for so long, but then he does agree to play Capablanca, but then he wants to be the challenger, not the world champion. It's very, very interesting. Whatever he was on about. He also won my fourth place tournament, just like your fourth place tournament, Jesse, St. Petersburg 1914. In my list where I put how many top 10 players were in any tournament, on this one I just wrote all. Um, as mentioned by Zach previously, this had just like everybody. You said you wouldn't change a single participant. Yeah, me neither. Perfection.
I know.
And there is a famous game here, which is Lasker plays the exchange Rui against Kappa. When I was a kid, like, and just starting to learn chess, people would like tell me the story. They're like, you won't believe this. Like Lasker, he was playing Kappa. No one had ever beaten Kappa. Kappa had like perfect endgame technique. And then on move 4, he took the knight on c6. Like what? Oh my God. The drama of an exchange Rui. Like, how could he choose that? Um, Really cool. Very cool game too. Really good game.
Yeah.
Great tournament. All the best players in the world. Epic. I love these tournaments that that have just like every good player, and somehow I got to get Linares into my list. I'm sorry. Let's figure it out. You guys can help me at the end.
Did everyone forget Linares?
I
I'm
didn't
just asking.
forget it. I just
There's nothing at stake. There's nothing at stake.
It's true. That's yeah.
yeah.
But it could be, I don't know, it could be a world championship match in the format of The Hague to me.
Yeah.
It's that strong, like top 8. It's a candidates tournament. It's better than a candidates tournament.
Yeah, it
There's more-
really has
like,
everyone
it's
at the
insane.
time. I mean, Kasparov and Karpov, and then all the best talents.
It has 3 generations, right? Karpov, the best, like from 2 generations before. At this point, he shouldn't have it anymore. Kasparov,
Yeah.
and then
They
the next
basically
generation.
lascared the tournament.
Yeah,
The more we're talking about it, the more I want to put it up myself.
Oh man. All right. number four for me is a modern tournament actually, and perhaps the bias is actually for me that this is the only tournament on on the list on anyone's list that I followed live, every day of this event because it was just so clearly important and historical, and I was just young enough or old enough that I understood the significance. And that is, of course, the 2013 candidates in London, which is the one that Magnus ends up winning. For me, this is a super important tournament for a number of reasons. Obviously, it's Magnus's ascent to the World Championship match. It's also the first candidates tournament where they bring back the candidates tournament because the previous candidate cycle was the infamous candidates matches in Kazan, where Magnus, as the number one player in the world, decided to drop out before the event and not play due to the format. FIDE ended up changing the format for 2013 to appease Magnus. And I think it was a great choice. I mean, the Kazan candidates, it's infamous. I don't know, I think it's considered like one of the worst candidates of all time. It's like the
Leading to the
fact
worst world championship match of all time.
that he's like, so and then now we have this modern era of candidates tournaments that's really cool. In fact, the 2024 candidates that Gukesh won, we did a podcast asking if that's like one of the best candidates tournaments of all time. And I think that all kind of stems from 2013. Now, 2013 as a tournament was especially cool because it has Magnus doing what he's supposed to do, like he's coming for the legacy, and it's like the coming of age of Magnus that we were waiting for many years. But the tournament is not easy for him. It has Levon Aronian, who at the time was an absolute monster, I think number two or three in the world. Kramnik at the time was also doing extremely well.
Yeah.
And then it has Ivanchuk as well. It has Svidler, of course, were top players at the time. Grischuk is there, and then Rajabov. And Rajabov at the time was number four in the world, and he was also considered one of the talents of Magnus's era. Like Magnus, and Kraken, I remember were all kind of supposed to be the next challengers. And then the tournament itself was super fascinating. There are tons of amazing games, especially from Magnus and others. Lots of memorable games, and of course, it's perhaps most memorable for the final round where Magnus and Kramnik are essentially on the same score, but because Magnus has better tie breaks, Kramnik is forced to play for the win with black against Ivanchuk, and Magnus has white against Svidler. And Magnus ends up losing that game in just purely dramatic fashion. And Kramnik at that point only needs to make a draw to win the tournament. But because he's over pushing, he ends up losing to Ivanchuk, who had the most volatile event of anyone, flagging in four of the games, also beating Magnus earlier in the tournament.
Insane.
It's like, and then ends up beating Kramnik in the last round. And so it's one of the only tournaments actually I can think of where um, both the winner and the runner-up lose in the last round, and then the winner ends up taking the tournament. So for me, it's just such an epic event, and yeah, the significance of Magnus winning, I think, is quite valuable.
Kostya, are you saying you're so young that you didn't watch San Luis live?
No, I would have been 13 years old, so I wouldn't have really followed it so carefully. Yeah.
Oh my God. That is crazy. I mean, I watched Wake on Zay live. I watched Linares live. Oh man. Okay.
I'm scared to ask what was the first tournament Jesse watched live.
Well, actually, it's an important point is that there hasn't been live tournaments for that long,
Mm.
right? So even, let's talk about the 90s, that was not the culture you're sitting there watching games that are online. And ICC was like, I mean, maybe they were broadcasting some of them and stuff, but it wasn't like you
They
had
were
people doing
relaying the
comments.
games manually onto ICC.
Yeah, dude, it wasn't like you had some commentary people or whatever. No, it was you know, totally different culture. Whereas now, I think it's one of the greatest things about chess is that we can watch these events live and everybody, can do their own stream and stuff.
I remember the London candidates for Ivanchuk more than for Magnus or Kramnik, who tied for first.
Wow.
Like to me, that's like the Ivanchuk tournament. If you wonder why this guy was never world champion, like the quote unquote greatest chess talent that there's ever been, who was also not world champion. Like he beat the two best players in the tournament and literally just sat there and flagged against half the other participants. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. All right, Zach, you're number 4.
Okay. Okay. At number 4, I have a tournament that's been mentioned, I believe, 3 times. Yes, 3 times.
Ooh.
So it's already in good standing with you guys.
Yeah.
But I have it for some reason higher because of so many factors. Okay, so quadruple round robin. It's like everyone plays everyone 4 times. It's like completely insane. The cultural importance of it is almost unmatched. I mean, you have young Bobby Fischer coming freshly out of being US champion at 14, and he comes to his first candidates tournament at 16. It's like ripe for this international stage. It's his first test against the strongest players in the world. You have a young Mikhail Tal who is so strong, and he will become the youngest person to win a candidates tournament at the time. Completely insane. You have another cultural moment, Tal against Fischer, and Fischer's facing these Caro-Khans the entire tournament, and Tal, arguably the first troll moment of the entire chess history, in which Tal plays c6 and then looks at Fischer and then plays c5. It's on tape.
1959.
That's 1959. Insanity.
What a
Like
moment.
Invents
has to
trolling
be
in
my
top
top
chess.
5.
Can you imagine that in a candidates today?
No. Like just classic.
Not
Like
just one time against Prague.
No. Absolutely classic. 4 world champions in that candidates tournament, 2 past and I believe two future, which is it just shows that how much like the seeding was so strong, because it made a world champion Tal and then future world champion Fischer. 28 rounds, so it fits David's criteria of just like a super long, drawn out, like people are dying at the end, dropping left and right. And yeah, I have Bled, Zagreb, Belgrade, 1959 candidates.
That's
And
right.
then finally, my second favorite tournament chess book of all time by the British journalist and chess player Harry Golombek. The book on this tournament is nothing less than sensational. Oh, and there's a nice game from this. I think it's Fischer Tal in this Sicilian in which Fischer has a queen on f3 and he pushes e5, and then Tal's no, it's like someone sacks a queen from this e5, and then bishop e7 out of the Sicilian, and it's this completely bananas sharp game. I just remember it so vividly, but also not at all. It's just such a special tournament game, culture, strength, history. It fits all the categories for me. So that's my number 4 slot. If you guys have thoughts before I move on to my third.
No, good. That was a good synopsis. Tell us your 3.
Yeah, number 3.
Yeah, what's gonna beat that?
Well, David, like honestly, so on par with your reasons for your earlier ranking of this tournament. There's a move that's so special to me in the context of chess history. This bishop a3 that Mikhail Botvinnik plays against Jose Raul Capablanca in 1938. And, Botvinnik thinks about this move and analyzes this move for maybe the longest anyone has ever analyzed the move in history. When engines first came out, and Botvinnik was a big ambassador of chess engines and how they're going to be superior to humans, he tests out this position, this move, as the first of any position he ever tests out on an engine, and he writes profoundly about it. And even the engine was like unsure when he first tested this out, when Botvinnik had like a hunch that bishop a3 was good. For about 20, 30 years, Botvinnik was still not sure if bishop a3 was objectively winning. which is just like insane.
Oh
Uh,
man, nowadays we can always find out if it's really killing
yeah.
us. So we really need to
Imagine like
know.
not knowing certainty, not knowing objectivity about a certain move, and it keeps you up at night for many nights. It's like
For years and years.
so in Avro, there's four world chess champions.
Yeah.
Insane. And then Kyrgios wins it. So the non-future or past world champion wins it. And this is the best argument to me for Kyrgios being the best chess player to never become world champion because he doesn't get his chance at the crown. And then World War II happens and he gets forgotten into the dust. So for historical reasons, Avro 1938 makes my top three chess tournaments of all time.
Right on.
Okay. Fire reasoning. Let me see.
Catering to the younger generation with that remark.
Okay. My third pick is a repeat. You guys have it. You guys all have it, in fact,
Wow.
a bit lower, but I'm hoping I can maybe convince you to push it up. Actually, not really. I don't really care. But it's in my opinion maybe others as well, the first kind of modern super tournament, and that is Hastings 1895.
Wow. Wow. At third.
Yeah, I'm putting it third.
So excited to hear your reasoning.
Basically because I just feel like the field was amazing. So again, you have the multiple generations. You have like Steinitz and Chigorin, and then some older guys as well. And then you have the younger, like Tarash, Pillsbury, Yanowski. So it's like you have all the best players from the 1880s, 1890s, 1900s,
Right.
in one tournament. And I feel like this is really truly the first kind of like modern super tournament because like London 1851 just didn't have the stacked field. Not everyone even played. And so I think it just gets a lot of points for me for being the first. And there's so many actually great games from that tournament. Like one that comes to mind actually is I think it's Pillsbury Lasker. Well, Lasker wins with this double rook sacrifice. Like rook takes c3 and then rook a3, and Queen's Gambit declined.
Whoa.
Either Pillsbury Lasker or I think Pillsbury. Maybe it was against Yanowski, but I think it was Pillsbury. And I also love the lore of this tournament that it was supposed to kind of determine like who is the best player in the world. Like forgetting the match, like Steinitz, they thought everyone was going to beat Steinitz. Like Lasker would beat him, the Tarash would beat him if they played. So this is like the tournament that's supposed to determine the actual best player in the world at that time, which turned out to be Pillsbury. Go figure. So yeah, I just yeah, it ended up third for me. I don't know. It has this kind of very special historical significance.
What do you say to no stakes, the Jesse argument?
I think the stakes were that it determines the best player in the world, at least
okay.
unofficially.
Okay.
Because it's like everyone was there, and it was a very long tournament. So and it didn't have. I feel like it didn't have a ton of outsiders too. So I feel like that was also important.
I think it was like at a period in chess history where people weren't so certain, like that the world championship and the match format is the way, right? Like that was sort of a new thing that had been established, but it didn't have the weight of 100, 150 years, right? So they're still figuring out, like, do tournaments determine who's world champion, or do matches, or like who's the best, or what does world champion mean, or what does the best player in the world mean? So so the stakes would have been relatively higher than if you did a Sinkfield Cup now, when most people will say that the world champion is better than the winner of the Sinkfield Cup or whatever, you know. Costa, you said you didn't care, but I moved it 3 steps for you. You see that? Look at that.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh.
There was a change.
Oh, okay. We got to
There's a
update
change.
the listeners. So
Yeah. I've moved Hastings from number 10 to number 7
wow.
off of what you told me, which I found very convincing. And I'll just quickly mention, I think one of the most important skills anyone should have is the ability to change their mind.
Yeah.
So feel free to put more pressure on me about other things. And for now, I'm going to put Zurich 1953, perhaps disqualified by Jesse.
Wow. Number 3.
Incredible.
Candidates tournament 1953. Maybe a couple games weren't real, or a couple guys went soft here or there. They played 28 rounds for 2 months. There was a lot of good games in there too. And the people were there were so many great players at the time. And maybe it's just my bias, because my favorite era again is, 1950 to 1972. That's when I think, the best tournaments and matches and everything were played. So there it is. Zurich 1953, 28 rounds.
Okay. All right, you guys aren't going to like me for this one. I am going to put for
I can't wait.
It's going to have to be really bad to weigh on how I currently feel about it.
So I think London 1851 has to be high on this list.
Oh,
Wow.
damn.
Interesting.
Okay, a couple important reasons. So some people have said that the strongest players weren't there. I disagree with that. I think you guys just don't recognize the names of these players.
They were there, they just weren't good.
So let me just paint a picture. So, we have the match in the 1830s between Labordonnais and McDonald. And the thing about that match is we recur in like retrospect, at least the dojo, I do, think of that as the first world championship match. Then nothing really happens. And there's not really, there's kind of people are kind of percolating with the idea of a world championship. This thing comes along. It's part of the London exhibition of 1851, which is a huge thing. But lots of books are written about how this is like showcasing England's industry and yada yada empire.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring it together with this big exhibition. And the thing that happens here is then Anderson gets recognized as the top player. And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, we don't have an official world championship title, but this guy's clearly the one. Staunton then challenges him, and he's going to call that his match for the world championship, right? Staunton, of course, honestly, a dickhead. This guy's a dickhead. But anyways, he challenges him, and he's not actually physically fit enough to challenge him right away, so he wants to defer it. Anderson's got a job back in his home little school as a school teacher. So they have a hard time getting that together, and that never happens. But what does happen? Morphy comes to Europe. A couple years later, they play a match. Morphy torches the guy. And because Morphy torches him so badly, we don't think of him as that strong when I think maybe he had a little bit of an off tournament. Maybe Morphy was also amazing. So that's the reason then that the dojo, including myself, think of Morphy as the world champion. And everybody else thinks of Morphy as the world champion. And that's how people then later develop the idea of the world championship, because they're like, we can't even hold a world championship until Morphy dies. So London is the first real tournament. It's held in a knockout, by the way, so it's kind of different than what you might imagine as a tournament. And it's like it's many ways like a first world championship that definitely sets the stage for the world championship. Okay, so there's my spiel for London 1851.
Sure.
Number two, I might end up changing my mind on this one. But number two, I have St. Petersburg 1914. And there's a lot to say about this. You guys have already said a lot about it. I just want to add, there's a myth about this tournament that's contested. And the myth comes from Marshall. Marshall was there. Later historians contest what Marshall's saying. But Marshall is saying that the top five participants who then fight for it in the special match. So as we discussed earlier, there's a main event where Nimzovich and a bunch of other players are. Those guys get knocked out, and then they play a series of a special tournament. And those people get designated by the czar as grandmasters. So the myth is that that's where really we get the beginning of a formalized sense of what it might mean to be a grandmaster. So anyways, I'm not even sure about it. I'm not sure about it. That's contested. But that's one of the reasons I put that one so high there, in addition to all the things you guys said.
Interesting. So that might or might not be the origin of the Grandmaster title.
Right.
Or at least the term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the term has kind of been floating around, but there's anything formal about it. But it makes sense too when you see that list of the top players in that event, because you're like, oh, yeah, Lasker, Capablanca, Alekhine, Tarash, Marshall. Of course, yeah, those are the ones. They're the grandmasters. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, I'm really torn on my top two.
Yeah, I'll just add while you're deliberating, David, that I found this chess.com article that you guys linked to about the greatest chess tournaments of all time.
Mhm.
And that was a very good article because it, compared all these tournaments, but also included this like cap score and their like the effective rating of the player. So like
Mm.
kind of judging how well the players played in the event. And
Mm.
one thing I wanted to bring up that was interesting is that this Hastings 1895 tournament had play according to this like caps, computer system, if you believe it, that was like not that far off from The Hague 1948, like 50
Whoa.
years later.
Hmm.
So in The Hague, it's like wasn't exactly the best chess being played. The tournaments in between, like St. Petersburg, New York, Avro, had higher levels than Hastings. But it's like it shows the level of play in Hastings and it shows the level of play in The Hague 1948, that they were actually pretty close.
Maybe I missed something, or maybe I'm totally wrong, but my thought was that that article mainly shows that the caps thing makes no sense.
That's fine.
Um, and should be disregarded. Because, for example, in Zurich 1953, it said that Averbach played the best of anyone by far, despite finishing fairly low in the bottom half. Like he finished like maybe 10th out of 14 or 15. And he had a performance rating, according to Caps, of like 2730, like 200 points ahead of like the other people.
Wow.
Like at that point, they're playing, 2500 to 2550 level chess. And then they're like Averbach, horribly losing the tournament, but with play at 2725 level. So,
Yeah.
and then every tournament that Lasker won, they're like, oh, he played terribly, but he won the tournament. And the author of the article is like trying to explain, like, how did he play so badly and always win? It's hard to believe that he played that badly. They put him at like 22, 2300 level, like, and he's coming out first ahead of Kappa and others who are playing 2500 level. So I mainly thought that like that they either miscalculated the cap stuff or we should disregard the cap stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I kind of understand it. Like, okay, with the Lasker thing, it's like I've been reading all this stuff about how people were like mystified by his play.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't explain how he's winning, which
Mhm.
kind of does correlate that like maybe his play wasn't of high level, but like very practical and he manages to take his chances, whereas others perhaps didn't. And the other thing, it's like nowadays, if you look at like the chess.com accuracy score, it always gives the winner of the game a higher accuracy than it gives to the loser, which I don't think logically can be true. I think sometimes you do play more accurately than your opponent, but
Except
okay, a
for one.
blunder decides a game except for like one move. And so I
Yeah.
don't feel like it's fair that like, okay, the winner is just automatically more accurate than the loser. I don't know. I don't think that's
Right.
quite right.
But
But I
it's
hear you
hard
on
to
that.
imagine
Yeah.
any story that explains a 200-point differential in performance over like 20, 30 rounds, right? Like, how could you really win a tournament playing 200 points worse than somebody else? Consistently averaged over hundreds of moves and dozens of rounds.
Yeah.
It's a stretch. And the Averbach result was just like, no, like you missed a zero somewhere, Like it's just, I
Yeah.
don't
They need to
know.
redo it with the modern engines. Maybe it'll be better. I don't know.
But yeah, that was hard to believe. Anyway, my
Okay.
number two, I put New York
Yes.
1924. It could be number one or number two. In my heart, it's actually probably number one, but at the moment, I'm putting it at number two. It's got the top 10 players in the world, right? All playing each other. Games are epic. Tournament book is epic. Um, I just love it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally fair. Um, all right, so my number two, maybe a surprisingly controversial pick, I guess. I actually thought this might be like the first tournament that most fans would think of when they think about like the greatest tournament of all time. And I'm going with Zurich 1953.
Hmm.
And you guys might call me a hypocrite
Nope.
because I was like,
Oh.
I don't like cheating. But for me, I guess the difference between this one and like Curacao 1962 is that like for 1962, the collusion scandal is like the first thing that comes to mind. Like for me, like that's why that tournament is famous.
Mhm.
Whereas Zurich 1953, I feel like it's famous because it was like this epic candidates event. There's two books written about it, one by Bronstein, one by Neidorf. The Bronstein book is considered to be one of the best tournament books of all time, and we all ranked it, I think, super highly in our books list. And just like the chess in that tournament, I feel like was incredibly
Yeah.
influential. Like there's tons of King's Indians, Nimzo Indians. I remember studying that book when I was much weaker and feeling like it had so many thematic ideas with all these guys playing Smyslov, Reshevsky, Geller, Oive. It has one of the most famous games of all time, Geller Oive, which is like amazing, amazing Nimzo. And so, yeah, for
Is
me,
that the counterattack in the Nimzo?
that's the Rook C2 game. Yeah.
That's like the greatest counterattack of all time versus
Yeah.
like somebody having the advantage and just crushing someone like that.
hmm
Like that's actually like a counterattack. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And I think there's multiple famous games from that tournament. Idorf was there. I mean, all the guys were there. So I feel like okay, it is marred by the like the accusations of collusion and cheating. Um, but in a way, it's also like it kind of is so hypocritical. It kind of adds to the
Yes. Go for
aura
it.
of the tournament,
Yes.
the fact that there's this like insane drama behind
hmm
the scenes.
hmm
And it really speaks to the history of chess in that chess has almost always been dirty. Even today, chess is kind of dirty in the sense of like elections and like who gets invites and how the rules are made and all this stuff.
Hmm.
And maybe Zurich 1953 is like the greatest exemplification of that.
Yeah. For me, like if the cheating like took away from the games, if there weren't enough real games or good games, right, then it would be like a real issue.
hmm
But there's so much real chess there that's just some of the best chess ever. So sure, keep it up there.
Yeah. Okay. Zach, you're number two.
So my final two. Uh, oh my God. Okay. My two is for sure controversial.
Huh?
No one will agree with my two.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm putting The Hague 1948 at two. It's the only tournament on all of our lists, except for San Luis 2005, but some would argue that crowned a world champion. And that to me has absolute value. And it also has so much interesting facts about it. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but they crowned Max Euwe for 2 hours, like in 1948. Because Euwe, he argued that he was the last living world champion. And so they said, okay. And then 2 hours later, they made their decision and they said no. And they said, we'll make this tournament and invite 6 players. A tournament of which 5 players showed up. So Fine declined the invitation. And quintuple round robin will never happen ever again in the history of chess. Quintuple. You're
Did they do
playing someone
quintuple because they
5 times.
planned a certain number of rounds? And so they went from you would have played each of five people 4 times to okay, you'll play each of 4 people 5 times?
Probably. I
Because
don't know
they'd
the
like,
specifics on that, but that
yeah.
it adds a layer of just like imagine playing someone like the on that 5th time. Like you've played them with white and black twice now. Just like just in because it's the only tournament with this kind of pressure of becoming world champion. And then the added layer is that Euwe, because he wasn't crowned world champion as himself thought was he was entitled to, he like drowns in this 1948 tournament because he doesn't even think it's official at the time when he's playing it. He still thinks he should be entitled to world champion, which is insane. So he like completely sorry for my language, shits the bed and like tanks to last, and Botvinnik wins this. Now, to save myself, I didn't know about this controversy, and I didn't know about this 4-0 of Botvinnik on Keres,
Yeah.
and I would have to check my facts and look for myself. But this is a list without that knowledge, so I'll have to check that for later.
Yeah.
But to me, the Hague 1948 is it's just an insane tournament.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Subject to
yeah.
fair play checks as usual.
Yes, exactly.
Dang. No, I think it's super fair to put it up there. I mean, and Botvinnik was a very deserving winner given the, that he played all these matches and won a bunch of them as well.
Mhm. Oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah, you're number one.
So my
Here we
number
go.
one is the reason why you have me before you, the reason why I'm the chess nerd. This is the tournament that literally started my entire career. It stemmed from the fact that I had never gone through an entire chess book. I was like 6, 7 years into the game, and I had never gone through an entire chess book. And I set for myself the challenge to go through a chess book in its entirety, and I chose miserably the Zurich International Chess Tournament of 1953 by David Bronstein. And the reason I did that is because it's such a long tournament. So 28 rounds. It had 15 of the 16 best players in the world at the time, winner of whom would challenge Mikhail Botvinnik. And double round robin, of course. So you're playing 28 rounds against some of the best players of all time. Three world champions, past and present at the time. So past Oive, past his prime. And you could see Oive past his prime because in the first half of the tournament, he does so well. He plays like some of the best chess of his career, some would say. And then the second half of the tournament, his endurance goes way down and he tanks to like I think he ended before last, right before Stahlberg, who claimed the last spot. The tournament was marred with controversy, of course. The Soviet collusion against Rozhevsky, who was leading the tournament for the first half of the tournament. And then he balanced between second and first place in that later half. And Bronstein coming out with his truth about the tournament later on, much later on in his career, saying that he was forced to have a quick draw with Smyslov, which he was still incredibly pissed and irritated about later on in his career because it spoiled his chances at challenging Mikhail Botvinnik, which he challenged anyways in 51, but for a second time there. Zurich International Chess Tournament, 210 games, you guys. What other tournament in the future of chess will you see has 210 games? Now, I'm listening for suggestions.
I mean, US Open has like 3,000.
Yes, but with that quality pool, a candidates tournament.
Oh, a candidates.
Sorry. My fault. A candidates tournament with 210 games.
The three
Over
candidates
2 month
tournaments
spans.
after it had the same format. But yeah, other than that,
Which one?
the three tournaments after it. But
Oh,
other
okay,
than
so
that, never.
59?
53, 56, 59, 62.
But 59 had 8 participants. Oh, did it have 210 games?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, no, maybe I'm wrong. No, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so this had 15 participants.
Players, right.
Double round robin, so 210 games. Like it's just
Twice as many games, same number of rounds, twice as many players.
yes.
Okay,
So
unique then, unique.
just like insane. So like probably producing the most worthy candidate of all time, minus the Soviet collusion. The big minus.
Most worthy of all time, unless they cheated.
And then the literature that came from it. Which tournament, you guys, has 2 participants making full-on books about the entire event and such a long event? I mean, just like I can't say enough things. I'll shut up now. Zurich 1953 as my number 1 chess tournament of all time. On to you, Kostya.
No, solid. I was thinking Zurich would definitely be a candidate for the top spot of this list. Okay, my number 1 pick. Actually, before I get to it, just one final honorable mention because I didn't even know about this tournament, but apparently Zach knew about it and David and Jesse knew about it as well. But I don't think the fans will have heard of the San Antonio 1972 Church's Fried Chicken Chess Tournament, which had all the best players not named Fischer and Spassky who were busy that year. But this is a tournament that had in San Antonio, Texas, Karpov, Port, Evans, Gligerich, Brown, Byrne, Petrosian, Portish, Larson, Mecking, Karras, Anthony Sadie. So it's a bunch of the top American players as well. I don't think the fans knew about this event. Please leave a comment if you did not, so we know that we can share the knowledge. All right. My number 1 tournament is a repeat. It's on people's lists already, so it shouldn't be too much of a shocker. It's Avro 1938.
Wow.
And a couple of reasons why this for me is the greatest tournament of all time. Um, Number one, it had multiple world champions. So Alekhine, Capablanca, Botvinnik is there as well. It's basically like the eight strongest players, arguably at the time. Apparently, that was also the story of the tournament. And Avro is this, I guess, this Dutch radio company that straight up wanted to run a tournament with the best players in the world, without politics. So before 1940, there's like a lot of politics and who gets invited to events, who gets to play who for a match. People are ducking each other. There's all this like drama about yeah, players not getting invites, even though they're maybe deserving. Where it feels like Avro 1938 was a tournament where they're like, no, we want the best eight players in the world, and we want them to play a bunch of games and see who wins. We want multiple generations. We want world champions. It's got eight players, and for me, it's like it feels like exactly what we want out of chess tournaments. We want the best possible players, the best possible format, without politics, without drama. No cheating scandals, as far as I'm aware, from the maybe
The big plus.
maybe there was behind the scenes. And yeah, also in my mind, I thought this was the World Championship tournament that Botvinnik won. So he kind of gave it the aura of the Hague 1948, which I don't know if it deserves points for that, but in my mind, it had like such historical significance that I really felt like it should be up there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Good list.
Big question remains what Jesse's first pick will be.
I'm stunned you guys haven't put it up there, man. Okay.
Oh no.
You mean we don't even have it in our top 10, Jesse?
Some people do. Some people do, but I'm just a little shocked at it. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Can't wait.
Wow, what is it? Yeah, I wouldn't be able to guess with any confidence, and normally I feel like I can guess what Jesse's pick would be at this point, with 9 of them whittled out. My top tournament will not be a surprise, I don't think, to too many people. If you've got really good eyes, you can see somebody lurking behind me there with their autobiography. They won this tournament.
Top.
Okay, candidates, Yugoslavia 1959.
Great stuff.
Played in 3 different
clapping, beautiful.
cities. Yeah, I mean that's just it was very hard for me to pick between these candidates tournaments of Zurich and Yugoslavia and New York 1924. One version of my list was just candidates 1959, candidates 1953, candidates 1962. It's just like all these 28 round monstrosities, just epic, epic, epic. As I said earlier, I downgraded Curacao for the fact that some people didn't really play 28 games. And I was trying not to be just completely biased to my favorite era and fit some other things in. So I moved up St. Petersburg and New York a little bit. At some point I put New York as my first pick, back down to number 2. I don't know, but this tournament is definitely a fantastic one. So many great players, and then the stories that Zach told from it are amazing. And Mikhail Tal's rise, 1958, 1959, 1960, was one of the most meteoric rises we'd ever seen. I mean, Fischer's streak in 1970 to 72 is going to be even more percentage-wise. Like, he's just going to be even more above the heads of other people. But how young and how fast Tal came out of nowhere from like, oh, there's some like junior player who's like promising, like maybe he could play in the USSR like semifinals, and like, oh, maybe he could play in this like zonal tournament. And like, what? He's the world champion! Like, and at that point, being 22 was being a kid. So yeah, that's my tournament.
Cool.
Fantastic. My heart would put that at number 1, 100%.
Really cool. Actually, Zach was here. Normally, I don't get to go last when we just do it with us 3. So this is a rare thing that I get to go last, have the final word. I think one of the things, okay, Kosi and Zach have this tournament on their list. David doesn't, and David's like, it's kind of interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit about his prejudices for a moment because it's just interesting. I'm not arguing against anything he's saying, just some interesting prejudices. One, we got a span between 1895, arguably 1924 and 1970. So there's nothing after 1970, man. Okay. And the
Oh,
next thing
really?
is,
Oh.
we've seen before that David has some kind of underground dislike of Carlsen. He can't take it.
What?
He doesn't like the guy. When we had the GOAT debate, he like punted and said that it was Philidor, you know? So, anyways,
I didn't punt.
top tournament of
Philidor
all
is the
time.
greatest player of all time.
We got London candidates 2013.
Wow.
Wow. That's
I
a
actually, I
surprise,
thought
but I
it was our
respect it.
like young person bias
Yes.
that we put it on the list.
Wow. Yeah, I'm shocked.
Well,
In a good way.
so obviously, maybe if I did this list a different day, I would move things around. I think, especially Hastings 1895, I kind of there's things I might want to move around. But in any case, the reason for London 2013 for me is a couple things. Like okay, I talked about Mexico 2007. After 2007, we're gonna get Anand, and there's this match with Gelfand and stuff, and it's like, oh, does this feel like a convincing world champion? No, not really. And Magnus, as you guys said, wasn't even ready to the thing that happened before that, Magnus wasn't even in there. And so they kind of jadooed the whole arrangement just so that the guy would play. He still has problems with the world championship. But then, yes, he plays. And when you think about just like history in general has so much that a coincidence shapes world history. And there, like, it's pretty random, really, Magnus getting in there. The final round story is just like, what? What is going on? It definitely could have gone a different way. If it had gone a different way, I think chess would have been completely different. How we think about even the world championship, I think it would be vastly different. Like Magnus probably even then would have stopped playing in these events. And as it was, he needed to win that to be considered the GOAT as he is. Sometimes me and David don't like him just because his attitude has been kind of poor in recent
Speak for
years.
yourself. I
But
love Magnus.
in any case, that was a huge event. Also, as we look forward to our next candidates tournament, I just want to stress we have some randos in this next tournament. Not terrible players, but just randos. Whereas you look at 2013, and Magnus is at a rating there in 2013 of 2872. I mean, 2872, bro. God dang. Kramnik's at 2810, and then the lowest rated player is Gelfand at 2740, you know? So we have zero chumps in this event, a huge battle. Could have gone, I mean, in terms also of excitement, it just comes down to the last. So I might do a couple of these, but in general, I feel pretty good about the list.
Incredible.
Okay.
So, Jesse, can I confirm you did not rank Zurich or Aviaro or The Hague, right? None of those three tournaments are on your list.
Yeah, and like I said, I feel the Hague thing and the Zurich thing really bother me. And Avro, I think just in my head, there's technically nothing at stake. It's a great event. I like the book, by the way. There's a great book about it. Also, actually, I'll give a shout out to the Church's Fried Chicken book. There's a great book on that
There
too.
is a great book about it.
Yeah. And actually,
Wait, but on Avro though, wasn't the winner supposed to play a match with Alekhine, if I read
They were
correctly?
supposed to, yeah.
right, supposed to, yeah.
So it's kind of a candidate. It was like the candidates
Kind
that
of like the first,
we would
the
want.
baby of the candidates. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But no, actually, I think these are really good lists. I don't see a punt anywhere on the
Uh-huh.
on the page. Um, I'm rethinking San Luis 2005 a little bit, but I don't really know what I would replace it with, to be honest.
And one just historical thing I want to mention is like now we have this great coverage of these events, like everyone's watching it live, but we don't have like the post-match reflection. So it's an interesting thing about like I'm certain that if Alekhine hadn't written the book, New York 1924 wouldn't be here. Same thing with candidates
Mm.
1953. We just wouldn't be talking
Mm.
about it in the same vaulted terms. Whereas now, like we get to see the matches live. There's a lot of intense excitement. Everybody, is shouting and stuff. And then, so that's a great thing. But at the same time, we lose the ability for somebody great like Alekhine to reflect backward on what happened.
Yeah, to that, my top six there's all literature on my top six. The Hague, Paul Keres made a book on The Hague 1948.
Hmm.
Zurich, two books. Avro, one book. 59, one book. 24, one book. 1914, one book.
Yeah.
The most controversial for us, I think, like the tournament we disagreed on the most that's up here would be London candidates, I guess.
Right.
Because it's both ranked first by
Yes.
somebody and not even on the list from somebody else. Like
Wow.
it's not even
The
one of my
range.
honorable mentions. Like
Damn.
no, nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got like 5 other ones I would put on here first, I think.
Now, David, you let me know. David's doing some math to figure out what our dojo average is. When
Oh,
you're
I've done
ready,
the
I'll.
math.
What's that?
I've done the
Oh, you've
math.
done the math.
Plus,
Okay,
we've got
good.
some shadoobs. If anyone wants to,
Oh, yeah. Last
move
chance
something
for
up or
Jadou.
down based on what other people said, like I would love to get Linares in somewhere here. I do feel like I've been a little biased against Linares and things, but let me just say something about my bias, Jesse. And it's not the fault of the modern tournaments, just like it's not the fault of London 1851 that no one played chess well at the time.
Dang.
All the modern tournaments are too short. For me, they're like
Yes.
appetizers. And then I'm like, but where's the fight?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But where's the fight? Magnus and Kramnik, they're still tied and they both lost their games. Come on, play a few more games. Show me who really wants to win this tournament. Show me who really wants to be the greatest player of all time. The way Lasker wanted to be the greatest when he played Capablanca in 1914 and 1924. Like actually win that tournament for yourself. Play another couple weeks, win a game. Don't just lose.
Powerful.
Yeah, I think also with the modern events, it's like you need time for them to be etched in chess history. Like these other events are legendary because like we still talk about them. But it's like with let's say like London Canada's 2013, it feels like that's going to become a legendary event, but it's not yet clear that it will be. Or not yet like it's not yet, has we haven't had enough time for it to really kind of bake in.
From a sporting perspective, for me, Ivanchuk is like 2013 is like the weirdest tournament of all time almost, right? And like Ivanchuk is almost as strange an effect on the standings as any supposed collusion in the Soviet era tournaments, right? It's like he's like stole
Whoa.
from the rich and gave to the poor, and what was he doing? Like just sitting there and flagging
Robin
does
Hood.
not look far from throwing. Like
Yeah, absolute wild card. Yeah.
it's just so weird. And as Kostya said, the only time that like a winner and a runner up both lost in the last round. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if it's like the greatest thing of all time. It's maybe the weirdest thing of all time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna slide it over so people, if they're
Yeah.
watching, can see it, and I
Wow.
can read it out maybe a little bit. Let me slide it over just a little bit more.
Wow.
And so actually, I'll read it out for the listeners. Let me just make sure everybody can see it good.
Yeah, basically the system we do is like if you rank a tournament first, then it gets 10 points. If you rank a tournament 10th, it gets 1 point, and then we just add up the scores to see who has the highest average. And we'll try to do some fact checking as well, just to make sure that we added up everything correctly.
Yeah. I apologize for any errors here.
David doesn't make errors, dude. He doesn't make errors. He really doesn't.
If there
Okay,
is one, I
so
apologize for it.
I want to just read it off for the people listening. So 10th place we had Palma 1970. I think it was just me and David had that one.
Mhm.
London 1851 is number 9. David scorned anything. Has two. He says that they don't play chess good. I
Oh
mean,
wait, there is one mistake before we continue. So
okay.
Hastings, I put third, so it should have 8 points from me. So that
Uh-oh,
Oh.
uh-oh.
maybe bumps
Oh,
Hastings
thank
up a
you.
bit. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
we're gonna get a Jadoo, but good catch.
Jadoob here. As we're doing the Jadoob, let's just say that according to our system of honorable mentions, London 1851 should be in ninth place over Palma de Mallorca because it did get honorable mentions from all three of us who didn't vote for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even know we were doing honorable mentions. Give me a break.
Okay. I'll give you a break. What do you want?
Oh, yeah.
London candidates at fifth. Wow.
So I was the only one who did London 1851? That can't be.
Kostya, you don't have The
Yes.
Hague?
Hold on.
No, it was booted for me for Linares, 1994.
Oh,
Wow,
wow.
I was the
Yeah.
only one who did
Controversial.
London 1851. That's shocking.
I think we each
Uh-oh, we've
have
got another problem.
a specialty pick. I've got, I think for me, Waikanze 1999 and San Luis 2005. No one else
Oh,
honored.
so sorry, folks. Everything is wrong.
Oh man, right after I said he never makes mistakes. Right after I said it.
I
Oh,
think
now
we're
we've got a tie
close.
in our top two. It's I have to adjust manually every single column because normally we average 3 columns, and I did one of them, but it didn't drag down to all of them.
Oh, let's see.
So this is gonna
Wait, maybe I
mess
can
everything
help
up.
you. One sec. I think I got it.
AVRO there, 4, 4, 4. Okay,
Wait, so Hastings would be 2 for me, no?
so that
Because it's ninth.
Oh, Hastings ninth for Zach. So, oh yeah, 2 points for Hastings. Good catch. Mm,
right because I just moved one column. So Hastings should get 2 points from Jesse, 4 points from me, 8 points from Kostya, and 2 points from Zach. That's correct now. And The Hague is 0509. Okay. So now we need to reorder this one, unfortunately.
Okay. So, new order. I think YouTube audience, you guys can already see the score. So for the podcast listeners,
Well,
the new number one.
well, the podcast listeners, we're still at 10 and 9 didn't switch. So we could just keep going up from there. Right?
Okay, yeah. So 10th place, we have Palma de Mallorca, 1970.
Yeah.
9th place, London, 1851. 8th place, we got The Hague World Championship Tournament, 1948. 7th place, Hastings, 1895. And then looks like wait, we still need to fix number 5 and 6. Looks like number 6 is the London Candidates,
Mhm.
2013. And then tied for 4th and 5th are St. Petersburg 1914 and Avro 1938. And then tied for 2nd and 3rd, New York 1924 and Candidates 1959.
Mhm.
And all these events actually, or New York 1924, Candidates 1959, we all rank them, so there's like no tiebreak. They just tie for 2nd, basically. And then our number 1 ranking tournament, despite a 0 from Jesse, Zurich 1953.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. That's a
Mm.
pretty good list.
Yeah, we each had some touches of emotion on our lists.
But yeah, very decent list.
I like the list.
Yes,
I'm very happy about the list.
I think it's a good list.
I declare Jesse the Ivanchuk of our list.
Oh,
This-
come on. You're the Ivanchuk, buddy. You don't have anything basically before 1924. You have one tournament, and then you
But-
go to 1970, and it's over. It's over in 1970.
But check
This
it
is
out.
what I
You
paid
gave
for.
you gave 0 to the highest ranked one, and you gave 10 to the London candidates, which without your 10 would have been like in 10th place or something.
That belongs up there, man. Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong necessarily. I'm just saying you're the Ivanchuk of this event.
I would say too, for me, the big, I think also maybe just a guiding principle, it was hidden behind there is for me, the three goats, Carlsen, Bobby, and Kasparov, I it's big for me. They're big, tournament breakthroughs. So that was a big feature in that for me. So that's why London, it's just such a huge moment for the GOAT story for Carlsen.
Yeah, same.
Wow.
I don't know. He's had better tournaments.
See, there's that Carlsen hate, bro. There it is.
No,
It's okay.
he's
It's
had
okay.
better tournaments.
It's okay. I
Even
accept
better
it.
than this London candidate.
It's okay. Philidor's the greatest, bro. He is the
For
best.
example, I think the first tournament I ever broadcast live commentary on was the Nanjing Pearl tournament, at which he became #1 in the world for the first time. It was like, I think he may have had his 18th birthday either during the tournament or right after or right before. And he had to beat a field with Topalov, who was very good at the time. It was like 2009, 4 years before this. No, Magnus has had many legendary tournaments where he won outright with incredible performances.
Yeah, actually, that tournament definitely came up for me. But okay, there's so much competition on the list.
Yeah.
Pearl Nanjing didn't make it, but perhaps we could do best tournament performances of all time, because I think that'd be very interesting
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, I was
One,
very surprised no one put Fabi's Sinkfield. I thought someone was going to put that on the list.
It made 11th for me, sadly.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was honorable mention for me, but not enough significance for the tournament, I feel, to compete with these other events. Okay, actually, one snub, which I'm surprised was a snub. Actually, I thought someone might put it in. None of us ranked any of the Olympiads, and there was a lot of fantastic Olympiads. For me, the issue is just it's just so hard to compare them to the normal tournaments.
Yeah.
But obviously there's been some incredible Olympiads in chess history as well.
Yeah, I put Budapest on our list of things to consider. So I did put one of them there, and I was also thinking of one from like 20 years ago when Armenia won. That was really cool as like a team performance instead of like one player's standout
Yeah.
performance. But it is very hard to compare the Olympiads. I mean, they're kind of my favorite tournament to watch.
Right.
Um, but then it's hard to like judge, right? Because if you look at, who Aronian plays during the Olympiad, does he play like the equivalent of a super tournament or not? It depends on the year. And, so I don't know, it's very hard to evaluate and to keep track of it in your head to really know like who faced who and so forth. But Olympiads probably have a lot of a lot of individual greatest performances because there's so many people there participating.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've got this cultural value. Like I'm thinking of I think the 1960 Olympiad is where Fischer and Botvinnik face off. I think the only time ever in this, very, very important US versus USSR match. And I remember there's the USSR versus rest of the world match, which was quite epic. But yeah, these team events are very, very difficult to compare with everything else. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
of
thought
course,
the
those are some of the
USSR
most fun
one,
events.
I thought the USSR one would count as a match, not a tournament, so I didn't
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
go for that. But yeah, the Olympiads, they're also kind of like 100 tournaments in one, right?
yeah. And then the World Cup is such a cool event. It's everyone's favorite event to follow. But yeah, it's hard to pick one exactly over everything else.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, guys, good show. That was great.
yeah. As usual, folks, please let us know your answers in the comments. If we missed tournaments or if we misjudged something, we'd love to politely hear from you. Um, and
Yeah. Tell us about your favorite tournament versus our worst mistake. Tell us
yeah,
what
sell us exactly on why the church's chicken should be the number one of all time.
I think we've been very lucky to have Zach with us for this show. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Zach. We're gonna bring you
Definitely
back.
lived up to your
Yeah.
chess nerd name with all
really?
the information and historical
My heart
perspective.
is warm right now. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a dream come true. I just have to say it. I'm a big fan of the show.
So, yeah. All right, folks. See you next time.
All right, bye.